What's up, y'all? We back to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 220. I think we can all agree that this chapter was a banger for many reasons. Personally, I don't mind the stuff that happened with Yorizu, but I know a lot of readers weren't really pleased with it. Looks like Gege is back in the full swing with this newest issue. If you're someone who's already subscribed, and thanks for sticking it out, even though I haven't been uploading for a while, kind of hit a mental wall and had a bunch of stuff wrote out for future videos, but just couldn't pull the trigger for some reason. But like Gege, I too am back. If you guys like this video, consider subbing. But anyway, back to the chapter. We got loads of information on this one, and some of my personal questions were answered. The chapter starts with showing us the prison realm that contains Gojo and the number of points for Getsu Suguru, which, it's interesting. The point amount is 309. This is interesting for me because I've been personally wondering how some character names are displayed by the kogane by the names of the body, and some are the person that's in the body. Like in this case, it's saying Getsu instead of Kenjaku, or Yorizu's points, weren't displayed as Sumiki, but someone like Kashimo was displayed as Kashimo, even though he's a reincarnated sorcerer. I believe we were told that the reincarnated sorcerers worked like Yuji, where it's a cursed object that's ingested by a person to have that soul like overwrite the original. So how come Kashimo's name is displayed but not Sukuna's or Yorizu? I don't know. It could be an oversight, but anyway. Also, if I'm looking over, it's because I got like a script written and I'm looking at it. So it probably looks weird. Excuse me looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's late at night and I just wanted to record something because it's been a while. So yeah, Kenny tells the Kogane, to add a rule since he's got 300 points now and he can add 3 rules. And after a few chapters, I was wondering, a few chapters ago, I was wondering, since he asked Sukuna for his points right before taking him off to Yorizu, people probably didn't notice that. I didn't see anyone talking about that like on Twitter or anything. But the rule that Kenjaku requests is to prevent new players from entering into the culling games. And since that rule directly conflicts with the game's ability to continue, which is like priority 1 for the games, this is when Kenjaku tells us, the reader, and I guess he's like telling the Kogane because he uses this as a threat, but he explains how the games are set up and about Tengen's barriers and how they're set up around Japan. And 4 of those barriers are super important, and Kenjaku has set up the culling games using one of Tengen's strongest barriers as his base or whatever. Kenjaku reveals that the culling game could have stopped a long time ago if Tengen had simply disabled the barriers to begin with, but that would have caused mass chaos in Japan, allowing curses to run around like crazy. So Tengen was essentially, forced to become the game master, pretty much having the ability to shut down the game, but he chose to bet on humanity, defeating Kenjaku and just keeping the barriers up. This brings us back to the scene, where Kenjaku fought Yuki, and he starts talking. He's like, Tengen hasn't told you everything, and he starts going on about the culling games, and it looks like he's about to say like the culling games already happened or something, but then we're interrupted during that fight, and we never get back. But after giving this information, Kenjaku threatens to shut down the barrier, and this creates a glitch where the Kogane is forced to create a rule that prevents new players from joining. It favors longevity of the game, and it does this, to prevent being shut down, because if the rule isn't created, then Kenjaku is just going to shut the game down anyway, and having the game go on longer, but not being able to continue forever is better than the game being shut down right now. He then uses another 100 points to add the rule, making it so that the game will end when everyone besides himself and Sukuna are killed. Tengen asks, why go through all this when he could just remove the pure barrier himself and end the game? But it's because that would also make it so that he wouldn't be able to merge with Tengen. He's basically keeping Tengen hostage in a number of ways. And so then we're greeted by the original body of Sukuna, mummified deep within the holy mountain of Hida, or Haida. I'm going to say Hida. Kenjaku, asks, can he take it as a souvenir? And he's like, yeah, whatever. It won't disrupt anything. Next half of the chapter is spent inside what appears to be a hospital. We see characters like Ui and Maki gathered, and Maki says they just need to take down Kenjaku and Sukuna. Ui mentions how that's basically, as difficult as taking down Gojo himself. And next we see that Hana and Angel have been saved. Here's another question I had, because when Sukuna tossed her off the roof, we never saw her body really, and the Kogane didn't appear to say that Sukuna had gained 5 points. So it appears that Amai, Yuji's old classmate, has saved her somehow, breaking her fall. It looks like an awning or something caught her. I don't know. Maybe he has some sort of like parachute curse technique or some shit, some sort of like trampoline or something. I don't know. He saved her, and they also believe that Takaba somehow had something to do with it. Of course he did, because his curse technique is ridiculous. Yuji, not Yuji, but Yuta then asks Angel if she can swap bodies like Sukuna, and they doubt it, saying that none of the other sorcerers from back in the day knew how to become cursed objects after death. So that's why they accepted Kenjaku's invites to the games. And so Yuji, listens to Amai talk about his life, about how, he just went with the flow and shit like that. And Yuji thanks him for saving Hannah and says that, not having Sukuna inside of him doesn't matter since he never really helped him at all. Anyway, not never really, but Sukuna never helped Yuji. It wasn't like a lot of these other like inner demon tropes where it's like the demon like helps you. This Sukuna did not fuck with this dude at all. But yeah, he never helped, and Shoko says that he's basically become a cursed object that's steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy, and Yuji's resolved himself to eating anything if it means he can kill him. Don't know what that means yet. Yuji enters the main room with the rest of the cast, and we see most of the survivors of the games gathered here. We got Miwa, Momo, Yuta, Maki, Kashimo, Ui, Kirara, Hakari, Panda, Takaba, Shoko, and even Inumaki's made his way here. Yuji, Yuta, and Maki all have ideas on how to take down Sukuna, but they aren't discussed here yet. It's probably off screen, probably will be off screen, or maybe they'll talk about it later on. But Choso hands over a book to Yuji, saying it contains soul research that Yuki left behind, saying it may prove useful. And Yuji apologizes for his brothers. Choso says it's no problem, and they'll live on inside him. And this bit's a little bit interesting. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but the chapter ends with Shoko remembering Gojo's words about how no one will ever be alone again. And the translation's iffy here. In the officials, she says that she was in love with one of them, either Getsu or Gojo. But the unofficial translation, she says like hell would freeze over before I fell in love with one of you. I don't know which is correct, but I usually tend to go with the unofficials. I feel like they're normally better. But yeah, in this case, she thinks to herself, there's a lot of monsters here waiting now. Talking about the kids or whatever, waiting for him to return, and we're just left with a picture of the prison realm. So that's it for the what happened during the chapter. My personal thoughts, though, so it was a juicy chapter. Lots of fucking information. There's still some things left to question, though. Like, there's some characters missing from this scene, like Mei, even though her brother's here, and Uro hasn't joined the gang. Charles isn't here. Neither is Higuruma. I think he said he wouldn't join, though. I think he's specifically said he wasn't going to join Yuji's gang or whatever. Maybe all these guys are off in a different section of the hospital, though, because I feel like, like even though he said he wouldn't join, it's kind of do or die now. Like you either need to pick a side or die kind of type of thing. People are probably in another wing of the hospital. I don't know. It looks like the thing I feared. Like I was worried. So there's one thing I was worried about for the story, and it looks like it's happening. And so it's there's a bit of information, a bit of time that we can't account for in the story. And that's when the military joined back on November 14th. And a lot of people don't care. It's when we see on the 14th, the military joined at some point, I think at night or whatever. And then 2 days later is when Kenjaku beats Yuki down in Tengen's spot on like the midnight of the 16th, and then like 12 or 14 hours later on the 16th around like 3 p.m. is when Sukuna takes over Megami's body. So there's like the 14th, and then we don't know what happens for the rest of the 14th. We don't know what happens on the 15th at all, and then like midnight on the 16th is when that fight happened, and then like 13, 14 hours later, it's like we get the Sukuna in chain and body swap thing going on, and it's like a lot of people wrote that off, and people, probably say, these guys are all dead. It doesn't matter. They were fodder. But it's like, I think it would have served really well to show, more of the, lesser characters. But if they're all dead, is Remy gone? What about the guy that was with Reggie that, Takaba was fucking with? Are they dead? What else? I think it would have been cool to see other colonies, because there's still like 5 colonies that we haven't seen during this like 2-day period. And like I said, the guy with Reggie, I thought we would get to see what Miwa was doing, because he kind of showed Miwa walking through one of the colonies looking cool or whatever. And like Inumaki suddenly here, how did he get here? Like I said, there's a couple colonies. It kind of to me, I know it's not true, but to me it feels like Gege like saw some of the fucking stupid comments on Twitter from people saying that the arc was like dragging along and decided to speed things up. even now, I mean, this current chapter 220 takes place on the 18th, so that's another 2 days after Sukuna swapped bodies, and it's like what happened on the 17th, the day after the body swap, and what happened a few hours before this, and anyway, enough on that. But like, I bring back Nabar. About Yuji saying he would eat anything. There's no way he's, talking about Sukuna's body, because I mean, Sukuna's body, we just, that reveal happened, so many miles away in a disclosed location. So Yuji doesn't know that like Kenjaku now has his body, but it could be cool, maybe Yuji take a bite out of that shit. Personally, I feel like Kenjaku is planning some shady shit where maybe he merges with Tengen and Sukuna's body or some shit. I don't know. I got money on Kenjaku doing a backstab. I mean, it makes sense if the bad guy backstabbed another bad guy. But yeah. I don't think Yuji's gonna take a bite out of that body. I did personally think that Yuji might find or somehow get his hands on some of the other fingers, and keep that five finger amount of energy away from Sukuna, and maybe like at some point Sukuna just ate Yuji or something. That'd be like the super like dark route ending for the story or whatever. But I saw some people saying that Yuji will probably eat the prison realm, and I think that shit's hilarious, because like imagine Yuji eating that box, and everyone's like, we got to free Gojo, and Yuji just eats him, and now Gojo is inside of Yuji's stomach on some weird shit. It's like I don't think that's gonna happen. I personally do think that Yuji ate Choso's brothers because of the conversation, and he's like, going to get a big boost from curse energy and maybe a technique, but who knows? It's too soon to say. I really wonder what's going to happen next. I mean, he could have been apologizing because like his brothers died in the like black hole or whatever, and he's like, sorry about your family or whatever, your family, my family. But I feel like they were far enough because of like how the star corridor or whatever was set up with all the different doors and shit. I feel like Choso's brothers are probably safe from the damage that happened down there during the Tengen fight. But yeah, I really wonder what's gonna happen next. I think Golden Week is coming up after the next chapter, so we got this chapter and then 221, and then I think it's Golden Week, and it's like the authors usually like to go fucking crazy right before Golden Week, but before scheduled break. So we could see Gojo free. Like Gojo, we might actually see Gojo and then be like, yep, we gonna break now, bitches. And it's funny because with the new rule that Kenjaku added, like for new players not to be able to join, it's like if Gojo is freed, does he instantly get teleported? Like is he just whoop out? And if so, that's crazy. If this new rule prevents Gojo from entering, I mean, Gojo would break the barriers just like he did during the what was it, Goodwill event arc. But I feel like it would take a lot longer, and plus there's like 10 barriers now, so Gojo wouldn't know. He imagine you just woke up and like you're just in a fucking war zone. Gojo getting out of the box and seeing these 10 tall ass barriers like shooting up into the sky along Japan. He wouldn't know which. What the fuck is going on? Nobody's there to like say, hey, Gojo, Kenjaku and Sukuna are out here running crazy. He has no idea. He's just going to get warped out if that's how that works. And then, like he'll probably sit there for 30, 40 minutes trying to break these barriers down. And while he's doing all that, people are just dying inside. So like by the time Gojo finds the right barrier, and what if he fights a few people inside? I mean, he probably goes crazy and just smashes on them, whoever's inside. But, like, it's dangerous times. You don't know who's friend or foe. You don't want to smash on somebody who's a buddy that you don't know that they're buddies. But like, it's really crazy right now because this rule, like Gojo getting free, everybody knew it was gonna happen. I feel like even Kenjaku, because Kenjaku said to Gojo during like when he sealed him, he was like, I'll see you in the new world. But like, this is crazy. He knew, and we as readers knew. But like nobody knew that like Gojo was gonna be forced out of the games if that's what happens. And I remember at the beginning of the Culling Games arc, people were saying that like it was confusing and the rules were too vague. And I was saying it's on purpose because like, we got to give it some time, let Gege cook, see what happens. And like I said, Kenjaku did that on purpose. Like there was rules left out and, glitches and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that went into planning these games. And so, we got like the glitch where the kogane, if you don't answer the kogane, like you don't get teleported. and that happened with the military. And now this glitch where he can force a rule, you know, by threatening the kogane to end the game, and it's like crazy. Gege has been delivering. It's been a blast. I can't wait to see what happens next. Anyway, if you made it this far, you know, thank you. Thanks a lot. I think from now on, though, I'm going to probably start streaming on Sundays after Jump releases and talking about chapters that I enjoyed the most there and interact with viewers. Like if some of my homies pull up, I read the chat, not read the chapters, but like after, you know, like for me, chapters come out at 12 noon. So I might start streaming like 1 or 2 to like give myself time to read the chapters and give like people time to read the chapters and then come in there and start talking. I don't know which ones I would talk about. Of course, Jujutsu, probably my hero. I'm not super big on, I mean, I like One Piece, but I'm not like a One Piece guy. And I'm not like, I don't care for Black Clover. I read it, but I'm just really waiting to see how the hell it ends. There's a couple other ones in Jump that I read. I read a lot of them, but like, yeah, there's a few that I really care about. So I'll talk about those, but I'm not going to do like a live reading and reaction because I personally don't really get down with the reactions. But yeah, I don't know how I go for now, but you know, stick around. I'll be honest, I really do like talking about chapters, but it's much more fun with people. Like, you know, I think streaming and having like people to interact with will be better for me because I feel like I do better like talking about like chapters and what's going on in the chapter with other folks. You know, so it's part of the reason I haven't been making videos, you know, in a while because these types of videos, like chapter releases, I don't know, it just hasn't been fun for me. I like the more like you know, like some of the other videos I got on my channel, like the one where I was saying Nobara's coming back and you know how and why, like theories and like recommendations and stuff like that. But I do want to talk about the chapter releases, and so I kind of just got like a block in my head where it's just like there's so much that I want to make, and then like it's like time sensitive some of the topics, and it's just been beating my ass. So I had a lot of ideas and I felt like I needed to be on the pulse with reviews, and it just got in the way of the content that I actually wanted to make. You know, people say, you know, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it type shit. So I'll try streaming chapter discussions, you know, and communicating and chatting with people in chat if, you know, if it goes well. Please consider subbing, coming back for those videos. And I think I'll start this Sunday, either this Sunday or next Sunday. I'm not sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry you had to see me looking rough. It's like, it's a little past midnight. Had a long ass day. It's been a rough one. Hair looking crazy. I threw this shit together. I just was like, fuck it. I ain't doing no crazy editing. So it's probably just going to be like the cover page to the JJK chapter in the background or something. Very, very quick work here. I'm surprised I didn't stop to take a water break or anything. But yeah, thanks for watching. You know, leave your comments below and all that jazz. Hopefully I won't looking too crazy on this video because, you know, when I do the streaming thing, I probably won't be doing camera. It'll be like, you know, whatever. But because I'm not really, you know, I don't mind showing my face, but I ain't gonna be doing that for real. But yeah, comment below your thoughts and all that jazz. Let me know what you think. And, you know, I'll see you next time. Thanks.